All right, so hold on. What were we talking about?
But my issue is this, man. When I look at this list, because it's based off of what they did during the season. For Khalil Mack to be at 19, whereas TJ is at 25, I just don't agree with that. I think TJ should definitely be. I would flip flop
top
those
20.
guys. Absolutely, man. When you think about TJ, what he did last year, man, crazy productivity. I mean, we talked about the sacks. We talked about the impact plays. For you, the eyeball test. I mean, anything that you wanted to go off of from a statistical standpoint, TJ had it. TJ was impactful in big moments in these games. Whereas with Khalil, I mean, everyone, even he said it himself. It was a very, very down year for him. And the difference between him and an Aaron Donald down year, he still had 12 and a half sacks. That wasn't the case with Khalil. And when I think of just the name recognition, I'm like, okay, I can see you having the Khalil Mack ahead, but I would assume Von Miller will be up there too. But they didn't do that. They have Von after TJ. Yeah. So I'm like, clearly you weren't just going solely off of a name, off of reputation. So that's my biggest issue with that right there. And then, with Minkah, I looked right here, man. I said, okay, if Minkah's at 35, I don't even care DB versus corner. Richard Sherman at 28, I just don't think Richard Sherman right now is better than Minkah Fitzpatrick. So that would be the guy that I would have to bump down and move my man Minkah up.
Yeah, there's that.
Or you could go Jamal Adams as well.
I mean, you got Aaron Jones above Minkah Fitzpatrick. Give me a break with that. I could see that. I'd say bump him up in that mid-20s to high 20s point, just because, like you said, if Richard Sherman's up there, let's put Minkah above him. And, yeah, some of those names ahead of him, I'm just really not buying. So, yeah, dude, with TJ and Minkah, yeah, I think you could bump them up a few spots. That's not something I'm completely... like I said, with this whole list thing, it's like the context of it's weird. We're getting this list right now when they're voting on it back in like November. Mm-hmm. Do we all know we're voting for the same thing for the same reasons? Dude, it's just a weird thing.
No, it's simple, man. They asked the players, hey, who are your top players? How would you rank them? That's simple. Not all this, or if you're starting a franchise, or who do you think is this guy, or if you're looking for this offense. No, it's simple. Who are the best players? That's the context. It's that simple.
I could nitpick this thing like left and right. You know, with Derrick Henry being at 10, I'd put Elliott over him. Like there's things, but then if you want to say, oh, Derrick Henry's end of last season, if you're considering that, but still, how can you knock Elliott's body of work and his season last year, which was an awesome season?
We're talking about last year because body of work wise, check this out. Chandler Jones, who I talked about, has been a monster since joining the league, right? 60 sacks since 2016, leads the NFL, is not even close. This was his first year making the list. But then he had to have 19 sacks.
But here's my point, dude. I'm taking Saquon Barkley 10 times out of 10 over Nick Chubb, but Nick Chubb had a better year than Saquon last year. But Nick Chubb is lower than Saquon. So there's so many things you could just go... Every like 5 or 10 spots, there's things you could just sort out and say, there's all these inconsistencies, but that's human nature. I don't have a problem debating all that. I came here to have issues.